What is going on, guys? Dalton here, back with another episode of DC Collects. Today we're going over Funko terminology or vocabulary that every Funko Pop collector should know. Let's get collecting. Okay, so first up on the list for Funko terminology, we're going to have vaulted or retired. It is considered vaulted, but I do hear some people saying retired. So what vaulted means is that Funko has put that mold, so every single Funko Pop has its own mold. That mold has been put away and they're never making any more of that Funko Pop ever again. This is an example of a vaulted pop, so this is the Walgreens exclusive Juggernaut, and it is vaulted, so they're never going to make any more of these, guys. It's very, very, very rare that they take anything out of the vault. They did just release this limited edition Batman in the tin, and that is the original mold, guys, the original Batman they came out with, but they did add a base. So even if they unvault it, it seems like they change it a little bit. If a pop is not vaulted, then it does have the potential to be reproduced, so made again and distributed, so you could see more stock popping up at stores a couple years later if it hasn't been vaulted yet. Next up, we have Grail. So Grail, guys, this is typically a pop that is valued at $100 or more. For your average person like you and me, $100 is quite a bit of money to spend on a vinyl figure, so that's why $100 is generally the benchmark, but that doesn't have to be what defines a Grail, guys. It could even be a cheaper pop. Maybe it's an exclusive to a place overseas. Maybe you live in the United States and there's a pop that's exclusive to Australia, just as an example. I don't even know if there is, but that would also be a Grail because it's going to be very hard for you to get your hands on. So anything that you have always wanted and is hard to find takes you some effort to actually track down that pop, or maybe even a lot of effort to save up for that pop because it is a pricier pop, being a Grail. You might even hear the term Holy Grail, guys. So what collectors are referring to there is basically your pops that are worth thousands of dollars now. So your OG Marvel pops, the OG Freddy Funkos, a lot of the limited edition con stickered OG Funko Pops are going to be Holy Grails. Okay, next up for terminology, we have re-release. So this has only happened a couple of times, guys. The best example is probably with the OG Star Wars Pops. A lot of people really wanted to get their hands on those Pops, so what Funko did is change the box color and basically re-release those molds. Like I said, you don't see this happen very often, but when it does happen, unfortunately, you do see a dip in price with the originals, as people can go out and get it for a lot cheaper now. As I said, though, typically Funko will do some type of change of color on the box. Sometimes they'll even change where the font is, make just little minute changes so that you know it was basically the second edition of the pop, essentially. Okay, next up we're talking about prototypes, guys. And so prototypes are super sick, guys. So basically a prototype, so every single Funko Pop has an original mold that they call the prototype. So they only print one of them, and it's normally in just white or in a plain solid color that's easy to see the details of the pop in. The most I've seen is 2 colors, but they're normally pure white. So essentially, if they make this prototype and it gets inspected by their inspectors to make sure it's up to standards, Funko standards, and they don't spot any imperfections, then that pop will then go to production, and that pop will then have one prototype. But if the pop if that prototype, say, had an imperfection, they would then make another prototype. And if that prototype was good and everybody was satisfied and it was ready to go to production, then that pop would now have 2 prototypes. So there would be 2 prototypes on the market for that pop. Stuff like this, information like that, is kind of hard to get your hands on, guys. Prototypes are super, super, super rare and very, very expensive. This is something that you are going to want to get deeply involved into the community and really get to know your stuff before you start purchasing prototypes. And you definitely want to be buying this from a trusted source, preferably through a friend that you really trust, because these are also easily faked, guys. They don't come in boxes because obviously it was the prototype. It wasn't meant for production. It was just to make sure that the Funko Pop was up to standards. So you definitely have to watch out on the secondary market for fake prototypes. They are super sick if you can get your hands on them though, guys. I can't remember if it was at Fright Night this year or one of the cons, but I know they gave out Funko Soda prototypes, which they hadn't done before, so that was super cool. So there's also Funko Soda prototypes. Same exact deal. They make one just to make sure that mold's okay, and if it's okay, it goes to production. If not, they make a second one, and if not, guys, they'll even make a third one. So some pops have one prototype, some have two, some have three, some have six even. So it's probably rare that they get to a sixth prototype, but you never know. Okay, next up, we're going to be talking about Pop Price Guide. So what is Pop Price Guide? Pop Price Guide is what collectors generally use to get the average value of a pop. So what Pop Price Guide does, it takes recent solds from eBay, Mercari, other sites like that that are fairly reputable in selling Funko Pops, and they compile all that data and get an average for that Funko Pop essentially. So Pop Price Guide is a great place to go and check all the value of all your pops. They have every single pop in there. I've never not been able to find my pop, and you can also scan the barcode on the bottom with your phone. So once you get into the app, there'll be a button that you press on your phone and you just scan the barcode on the bottom, guys. Then it'll bring the pop up and you can see the price, and you can even click on it to see what those solds are. So Pop Price Guide is a great place for information, especially if you're shopping for a pop and you want to know what the estimated value would be and what some of the recent solds would be. It's a great place to get information. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I make 4 to 5 videos a week on everything Funko, so if that's something you enjoy, hit the little bell and you won't miss any more content. Okay, next for terminology, we're going to talk about flippers. So I just think it's funny because I see a lot of people like, what's a flipper? I think they're thinking like a spatula maybe or something like that. But a flipper, that's someone who goes in, basically stay up to date with all the new releases and stuff. They know what's popular and they know when it's going to drop, so they'll be at the store when it drops and they'll try and buy as many as they can basically at retail price, and they will turn around and sell it for 3 to 4 times the price. Okay, another Funko term, and I don't hear it being used a lot lately in the Funko community, but that is fanatic. So this is essentially just a Funko fanatic, guys, and it's going to be people like me, people like a lot of you guys who just absolutely love everything about Funko. So if you're subscribed to my channel and like this video, you're probably a Funko fanatic yourself. But that's all it really is, guys. It's literally just someone who loves all things Funko and they just enjoy everything about it. They're crazy about Funko. So that does it for terms for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to go check out the rest of my collecting tips. But thanks again for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.